Hi y'all, welcome back to my channel. Y'all remember when I said I wanted to read just like thrillers and horrors this month, but I haven't been? Y'all, I have been doing bad, okay? I've read quite a bit of romances. So let's talk about some of the romances that I've read so far this month. I put my hair up. I don't love it, but I didn't like the feeling of it touching me. Does that ever happen to y'all? I don't know. Anywho, so I have some of the romances. I'll start with the ones I don't have physically first. So I read If She Says Yes by Tasha Harrison. And so this one follows, I forgot his name, but he is coming back to the town where they were raised to plan his best friend's wedding. Essentially, like, he is in charge of the bachelor party, but he's also in charge of his best friend's calendar, so he is there to make sure he is there for the dress for the suit fitting, make sure he's on time for rehearsals, and just like basically he's like his own personal wedding planner for his best friend. And he's always had a thing for his best friend's mom, so it is an age gap. And to my understanding, they knew each other when they were younger, because I think he's like in his 30s now, but it was like they were already adult age. I think that's how I remember it. So he didn't meet her as a child, but definitely when he was younger. So nothing happened between them. And so, we know how it goes. It was short. It wasn't bad. It was fun. If you like an age gap, if you like a spicy book. It wasn't really too spicy, actually. I feel like it kind of developed before it got spicy. So, to me, however, there wasn't much, I don't know, I guess romance, I don't know, but it was a good time. It was just fun, okay? And then I also read God of Malice by Rena Kent. That is the first book in the Legacy series, and I don't think I will continue with that series. I like dark romance. I can deal with dark romance. I don't mind darker themes. However, it has to be consensual for me. And I understand there's kings that are non-consent, but there's still that consent. And in the beginning of the book, the FMC was sexually assaulted, in my opinion. And in her opinion as well, because she went home and said, I was raped and I'm going to call the cops. It was a random stranger. She had never met him before, and so it was very much non-consensual in the beginning. And he pretty much kept forcing himself into her life. And so she eventually, it almost felt like she developed Stockholm syndrome and learned to love him. And then it became consensual. And at that point, I'm like, okay, now we're getting into the dark romance. However, because of how it began, it was a no for me. For me, the relationship could go as dark as it wants to. As dark as it wants to, as long as both parties are consenting, and that's what dark romance is. So because it wasn't that in the beginning, it kind of turned me off a little bit. And I was so curious, because I was like, I just want to see how this plays out. Is this how it's gonna be the whole time? I just needed to know. And so eventually it became where she liked it and obviously consented to it, but I was still I had the ick. And I'm not judging anybody who likes the book at all. I mean, I suppose you can feel how you want about dark romance, and how you perceive it is for you to perceive. And so I would not judge anybody for reading it or liking it. Just for me, it was a no. And so I don't know who the rest of the books follow. I think there's 4 or 5 books in the series. I don't know what couples they follow. I don't know how they go. But just that book alone, I was like, I'm not going to continue it. I'm not. And so that was that. And then I read Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. And this one is very cute. I really liked it. I actually thought it would be deeper because of the content warning and the author's note describing how some themes would arise. However, it was some of the themes that she said would arise was very short-lived. So this is a pregnancy trope. So it follows Win and Bo. Win is born with a deformity in her left hand, and Bo loses his leg to an accident, I believe, and so he has a prosthetic right leg. They're opposite, so I think it's her left arm and his right leg. And so I love the disability representation in here. They also had a one-night stand and she got pregnant, so she contemplated or thought of abortion, and I liked that conversation. However, she made the decision so fast. I feel like it was just placed in there to show that the author was pro-choice, which is fine. I'm pro-choice as well, so I respect it. But I feel like it wasn't too much of a conversation that she had surrounding whether she was going to make the decision or not. The decision was very much made immediately. So to me, the topic of it, was it necessary? I don't know if that makes sense. But overall, I thought the book was cute. I thought Bo was very charming and very caring, and I would say a golden retriever. Win gives black cat energy. So I thought it was cute. I just thought it was gonna be deeper, even through the book, you know, with them having to navigate being a couple or finding ways to be a couple when they didn't know each other. I thought we would see more like conflict, and we didn't really get that. And so I felt like their whole romance was very cutesy, and I just felt like that wasn't very realistic to me. I mean, I guess some people don't fight, I guess. I don't know, I'm putting this down. But I felt like because they didn't really know each other, because they, you know, had to like deal with each other through this, like, can you turn that down, please? Thank you. Due to a pregnancy, I feel like more conflict would come up. Like, you know, you have to navigate knowing each other, and then you have to navigate parenthood, and then it was just very much cutesy for them the whole way. So that was it. Next, I read Pardon My Frenchie by Farah Roshan. Now, I know it says Frenchie on the book, and I know there's a dog on the book. However, I thought they were just gonna meet because of their dog, like at a dog park or something. I didn't realize the whole focus of the book would be centered around dogs. So I don't remember her name. I am so bad at this. Ashanti. So Ashanti owns a dog daycare, and the MMC comes to pick up his grandmother's dog that he's now going to be responsible for. And so that's how they meet, essentially. But the entire book is about the dog daycare and the two dogs. And it was a lot of dogs. And listen, I like dogs. But it just felt like too much focus on the dogs for me. And I guess that's the plot. So that's on me. That's on me. That's not on the author. I'm sure she put it in the thing what it was about. Again, I don't really read synopsis of books, so I didn't realize there would be so much of the dogs on the page. I actually felt like the romance was like at the back end of the story, and that was the issue, I guess. I think if we had more romance scenes between the two, then I would feel differently about it. I didn't dislike it. I liked it. It was cute. It was fun. It just wasn't enough romance between the actual two couples for me. There was more romance between the two dogs. Like, and that's no BS, okay? There was more romance between the dogs than the two people. So, and y'all, okay, I said it in my last video. Y'all know I'm sort of in a book slump where I'm not really enjoying books. So that could be my issue too, but I think outside of a book slump that it would still feel this way to me. So I read that, and then I read The Dead Romantics by Ashley Posted. So this one follows Florence, whose parents own a funeral home, and she moved away from their small town to go live in New York, but then she gets a call that her dad passes away and she has to come back to the town to deal with his funeral. And then she meets one of the ghosts. She can also see ghosts. Her and her dad both can see ghosts, or he used to see ghosts while he was alive. And so that's their gift that nobody else in their family has. But she meets a ghost there that she develops feelings for. And I feel like the premise is fine. The premise is good. I just wanted more. I don't know, it just felt flat. Like I found myself like kind of just going through the motions with the book. I was like, oh, okay. Like I didn't really care about Florence or the other character. I was just kind of like, meh, eh. I actually cared more about her dad who passed than I did the relationship that she was developing. And so, y'all, I just need to not read for the rest of the month, because I honestly feel like I'm doing a disservice to myself now that I'm talking about it. A disservice to myself in these books. Like, because it was just okay to me. It was just, man. And then I think about it and now I'm like, I've read the 7-Year Slip by her and I liked it. I like that she writes magical realism, and I think it's cute. But then I was really thinking, like, even with the 7-Year Slip, there were moments where I didn't really feel inclined to pick up the book. Like, and I like that story better than this one. I really enjoyed it when it ended, but I just wasn't inclined to pick up the book, you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. So this was just flat for me. I feel like I did not explain these books in the best way possible, and I apologize. I'm also sorry that this video is going to be up later than it normally is. I just can't catch a break, y'all. Thursday night, my daughter got a fever, and so she got kept from school yesterday, which was Friday, and so I couldn't film yesterday. I didn't film anything. I didn't do anything, and so this video is going up late, but that is my life. Y'all know life be fighting me, and I just got to roll with the punches, quite literally. So that is some of the romances I've read. If you've read any of them, let me know how you feel about them. It's okay if you love them. It's okay if you hate them. You can tell me how you feel. I promise I'll be fine. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Happy reading. Bye.